Hey guys, we all love watching Hollywood's deadly survival movies, don't we? These movies offer some incredible survival and thrill experiences. That's why today, I'm going to share with you the top 10 deadly survival movies from Hollywood, where you'll witness some truly epic survival scenes. The best part? All these movies are available in high quality, so you get the best experience. If you're like me and love survival movies, make sure to watch this video till the end, without skipping any part. That way, you won't miss out on any great survival movie. Let's get started with the list.
At number 1, we have one of the most intense survival movies ever made, The Impossible. Released in 2012, this thriller is based on a true story and holds a solid 7.5 rating on IMDb. The movie follows a family that travels to a beach resort in Thailand for a peaceful vacation. But everything changes in an instant. Without warning, a massive tsunami crashes through the coast, destroying everything in its path. Thousands are killed, and the once beautiful beach turns into a disaster zone. Amidst this chaos, the family is separated, struggling to survive, searching for one another through the wreckage. Will they make it out alive? Will they ever find each other again? To find out, you need to watch The Impossible, streaming in Hindi on Amazon Prime Video. It's emotional, gripping, and visually stunning, a must-watch for every survival movie fan. At number 2, we have a deadly survival movie called No Way Up. This film was released in 2014 and is categorized as an adventure survival movie. It has a 5.6 out of 10 rating on IMDb. The story revolves around a group of passengers traveling by plane, but mid-journey the plane encounters a technical failure and crashes into the middle of the ocean. Surprisingly, more than half of the people on board survive the crash. However, their troubles are far from over. The plane begins to sink slowly, and water starts flooding inside. To make things worse, a massive shark starts circling around the plane. Anyone who tries to escape is at risk of being attacked. Meanwhile, oxygen levels drop, there's no food or fresh water, and the situation becomes more terrifying by the minute. How will these survivors manage to stay alive in such extreme conditions? Will they ever make it out of there alive? To find out, you can watch No Way Up in Hindi on Amazon Prime Video. At number 3, we have The Last Survivor, a 2014 action thriller survival movie with an IMDb rating of 5.3 out of 10. The film is set in a post-apocalyptic world where it hasn't rained in years and water has become extremely scarce. In order to survive, people have turned savage, some even resorting to cannibalism. Amid this chaos, we follow the story of a young woman named Kendall. She hears about a place where water still exists and becomes determined to reach it in order to survive. But things take a dark turn when a group of dangerous people starts hunting her down. Why are they after her? Who are these killers? And most importantly, can Kendall survive this brutal world and reach the place that might be her only hope? To find out, you can watch The Last Survivor, a gritty, suspenseful survival tale that keeps you on the edge of your seat. At number 4, we have Great White, a 2021 adventure thriller survival movie with an IMDb rating of 5.2 out of 10. The story begins with a couple who head to a remote island for a relaxing getaway, but they mysteriously disappear. Years later, a group of people sets out to investigate their disappearance by visiting the same island. However, things go horribly wrong when their seaplane malfunctions and crashes into the middle of the ocean. Now stranded on a small life raft, they're left with no food, no water, and one terrifying threat: a massive great white shark, circling nearby, waiting to strike. In this intense and claustrophobic survival thriller, you'll witness how fear and desperation push people to their limits. Will they survive the deep waters? Or will the ocean become their final resting place? To find out, you can watch Great White, now available on Amazon Prime Video. At number 5, we have All Is Lost, a 2013 action survival movie with an IMDb rating of 6.9 out of 10. This gripping film tells the story of a lone sailor navigating the vast ocean on his private yacht. But his peaceful journey turns into a nightmare when a massive shipping container suddenly crashes into his boat, causing severe damage. Water begins to flood the vessel, and to make matters worse, he gets caught in a violent storm that pushes him even further off course. Now stranded in the middle of nowhere, he has limited food, almost no fresh water, and a sinking boat. With no communication and no one around to help, his survival depends solely on his skills, instincts, and sheer will to live. All Is Lost is a powerful and emotional survival drama with barely any dialogue, focusing entirely on the intense journey of one man against the unforgiving sea. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend giving it a try. It's available to watch in Hindi on Amazon Prime Video. At number 6, we have See For Me, a 2021 suspense thriller film with an IMDb rating of 5.8 out of 10. The story follows a young woman named Sophie, a former competitive skier who tragically loses her eyesight in an accident. Struggling with her new reality and battling depression, she decides to spend some time at her aunt's secluded home to clear her mind. But things take a dark turn when her aunt leaves for an emergency, and Sophie is left alone in the house. That very night, a group of dangerous intruders breaks into the home, unaware that Sophie is inside and blind. Now trapped and vulnerable, Sophie must find a way to survive this terrifying situation. But she's not completely helpless. She uses an app called See For Me, which connects her to a remote volunteer who becomes her eyes through her phone camera. With a mix of suspense, survival, and clever strategy, this movie keeps you on edge from start to finish. If you enjoy thrillers with a unique twist, See For Me is definitely worth watching. You can find it in 5 different languages, including Hindi, on Amazon Prime. At number 7, we have The Mountain Between Us, a 2017 survival thriller that holds an IMDb rating of 6.4 out of 10. The movie tells the gripping story of Alex, a determined woman whose scheduled flight gets canceled. In her desperation to reach her destination on time, she meets Ben, a reserved but resourceful man. The two strangers decide to charter a private plane together to avoid delays. But fate has other plans. Midway through their flight, the plane experiences a mechanical failure and crashes into a remote snow-covered mountain range. Miraculously, both Alex and Ben survive. But now they're stranded in the middle of a freezing wilderness with no one knowing their whereabouts. With limited supplies, no communication, and extreme weather conditions, the two must learn to trust each other and fight against nature's wrath. As days pass, the challenge becomes not just about surviving the cold, but overcoming their own emotional and physical limits. Blending heart-pounding. Survival with emotional depth, The Mountain Between Us is more than just a fight for life. It's also about human connection and resilience. If you haven't seen it yet, this film offers an intense, emotional, and beautifully shot survival experience. You can watch this movie in 5 languages, including Hindi, on Amazon Prime Video. At number 8, we have The Grey, a 2011 adventure thriller survival movie, rated 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. The film begins with a group of oil workers traveling by plane across Alaska. But tragedy strikes when their plane crashes in the middle of a vast frozen wilderness. With no way to contact the outside world and no one knowing their exact location, the survivors find themselves completely alone in the freezing wild. But the cold isn't the only enemy. Soon, the group realizes they're being hunted by a deadly pack of wolves. These predators stalk them relentlessly, attacking one by one in the dark of night. With limited resources, freezing temperatures, and wild animals closing in, the men must battle not just nature, but their own fear and desperation. The Grey is a raw, intense survival story that explores human instinct, mortality, and the will to live when all hope seems lost. If you enjoy gritty, emotionally charged thrillers with real danger at every turn, this one's definitely worth a one-time watch. You can find The Grey available in multiple languages, including Hindi, on Amazon Prime Video. At number 9, we have The Dive, a 2023 survival thriller movie with an IMDb rating of 5.6 out of 10. The story revolves around 2 sisters who share a deep passion for deep-sea diving. One day, they venture to a remote location in search of the perfect diving spot. As they explore the ocean depths, disaster strikes. An enormous rock suddenly crashes into the water, pinning one of the sisters beneath it. Now the clock is ticking. With oxygen rapidly running out and no help in sight for miles, the other sister must race against time to save her trapped sibling. She's faced with impossible decisions, physical exhaustion, and the emotional weight of possibly losing the person she loves the most. Set in an isolated underwater environment, The Dive delivers a tense and gripping survival experience. The film keeps you on edge, showing what it truly means to fight for someone's life when the odds are stacked against you. If you're a fan of intense survival thrillers with emotional stakes and real danger, The Dive is definitely worth a watch. You can stream it in 5 different languages, including Hindi, on Amazon Prime Video. At number 10, we have Breaked, a 2010 survival thriller adventure film that comes with an IMDb rating of 5.3 out of 10. The story centers around a man who suffers a brutal accident deep within a dense forest. When he regains consciousness, he's in a horrifying situation, badly injured, unable to stand properly, and worst of all, he has completely lost his memory. He doesn't even remember his name or how he ended up in the middle of the wilderness. Alone, disoriented, and with no food or water, he must somehow survive in an environment that's both physically unforgiving and mentally disorienting. With wild nature around him and no hope of immediate rescue, each moment becomes a life-or-death struggle. The movie Breakheat offers a raw, intense look at human survival instincts when everything, even your identity, is stripped away. If you're into survival stories where the stakes are high and the situation keeps getting worse, then this film is definitely worth your time. And if you're looking for a deadly survival thriller with a psychological twist, don't skip this one. It's a must-watch for fans of isolated survival dramas. So, the top 10 deadly survival movies. Each of these films will take you on a thrilling ride filled with tension, adrenaline, and life-or-death moments. Now tell me, how many of these survival movies have you already watched? And which ones are you planning to watch next? Drop your answers in the comments.